Our topic this morning is, what problem do you have with Jesus? What problem do you have with Jesus Christ? Now, Jesus came about 2,000 years ago, and he preached, and he healed, and he reached out in so many ways and brought the knowledge of God to us. The Word became flesh, dwelt amongst us, full of grace and truth. And yet, he was rejected. The Bible actually says in John chapter 1 that he came to that which was his own, and his own did not receive him. He was rejected. Isaiah writes and says that he's a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. He was rejected. He was pierced for our transgression. The world rejected Jesus when he came. John has said, the Word became flesh, dwelt amongst us, full of grace and truth. We beheld him as one with the glory of the Father, but rejected him. So 2,000 years ago, Jesus rejected. To this day, Jesus is still rejected all over the world. And people give all kinds of reasons as to why they don't want anything to do with Jesus. What are your reasons? When I was growing up as a teenager, I did not really want Jesus Christ. I did not want to believe in Jesus, but it's because I misunderstood a lot of what Jesus was all about. I totally misunderstood. I actually thought that Jesus was the kind of person who, if you invited in your life, would come and stop you from having fun. And so I thought, if I have him, all my fun goes. There my fun goes through the window. And so I used to think, maybe when I'm old, I will come up to one point and accept Jesus in my heart, become a believer in him. There are other reasons why I did not like, Jesus Christ. What are your reasons for not wanting Jesus, for rejecting Jesus Christ? For a long time, angels would visit people. God would send angels, and people would fear. Every time an angel encountered people, they feared, they trembled. Then God sent prophets, and people killed the prophets. They said they are too ordinary. And then God decides to send Jesus Christ into the world as one of us, to be born in very uncomely circumstances, in a manger, in the lowliest of places. You did not want glorified beings like angels. You find it too much. You did not want fellow human beings with my word. I'll send you someone to live among you for 33 years. They still rejected Jesus. Somebody who talked their language, somebody who felt their pain, somebody who reached out to their problems, and so on and so forth. They rejected Jesus. Why do you reject Jesus today? To help us look at this, I will turn to John chapter 19 from verse 1, and I will read verse 1 to verse 6. This is Jesus on trial. Jesus is being sentenced to be crucified by the Jews before Pilate. In other words, the Jews want him dead, but Pilate does not want him dead. There's a very interesting contrast. The Roman, the Gentile king, Pilate, does not want Jesus dead. The Jews among whom Jesus was born want him dead, for D-E-A-D. So we read, chapter 19 from verse 1. Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged. The soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns and put it on his head. They clothed him in a purple robe and went up to him again and again, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" This is all mockery. And they struck him in the face. I want you to mark every detail. Verse 4. Once more, Pilate came out and said to the Jews, "Look, I am bringing him to you to let you know that I find no basis for a charge against him." When Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, Pilate said to them, "Here is the man." As soon as the chief priests and their officials saw him, they shouted, "Crucify! Crucify!" But Pilate answered, "You take him and crucify him. As for me, I find no basis for a charge against him." I find no basis for a charge against him. Pilate did not find a basis for charging Jesus with death. The Jews found a basis for killing Jesus. Do you find a basis for crucifying Jesus? Do you find a basis for not wanting any association with Jesus? As a friend of mine several years ago would ask, what wrong have you found with Jesus? Jesus never comes to any country to overthrow a country through a coup d'etat. Jesus never comes to your office to misappropriate funds. Jesus never shows up in your home to mess your home. Jesus has never showed up in your church to take over power. Jesus has never showed up in anybody's yard to grab what belongs to anybody. Jesus has never stolen anybody's shamba. Jesus has never raped anyone. Jesus has never corrupted any system. Jesus has never done anything anyone anywhere can count a wrong for. So I ask again, what are your reasons for rejecting Jesus? Do you have a good reason for not wanting association with Jesus? When Jesus was here, he reached out to the poor and helped them. When Jesus was here, when people were demon-possessed, he cast out demons from them. When he met the sick, he healed them. When Jesus Christ, found a desperate family, like the family of Lazarus. Lazarus is dead. He reached out to them and raised their brother, their son, back to life. There is a procession in the city of Nain going to bury the only son of a widow. Jesus reaches out to the casket and brings that son back to life. Are you with me? Yes. Only good is reported of Jesus. Only help is reported of Jesus. Only kindness is reported of Jesus. And Jesus comes into a desperate home. A 12-year-old child is dead, a daughter of a man called Jairus. He raises this daughter back to life. There is a woman with an issue of blood, hemorrhage for so long. The woman reaches out to Jesus, touches the hem of his garment, and she is whole again. I'm just asking you, truly speaking, all cards on the table, I am asking you today, in broad daylight, what do you have against Jesus? Jesus has never come to do any ill to anybody. When he saw children and the disciples are turning them away, he says, let the little children come to me. Do not hinder them, because for such is the kingdom of God. A friend of children, a friend of a youth like Jairus' daughter, a friend of that son of a widow from Nain, a friend of the elderly. Peter's mother-in-law is sick of a fever. Think about the corona situation now and quarantine. He reaches out and heals Peter's mother-in-law. What am I talking about? A man for nothing but good. So he comes to his people and does all these things, gives them bread to eat when they are miles away from home. He finds a desperate wedding couple. They have run out of wine. He turns water into wine. The disciples have no tax. He performs the miracle of a tax by giving them money from a fish swimming out there in the sea. Friends, the only crime, it seems, Jesus has committed is the crime of love. Loving children, loving youth, loving women, loving men, loving the elderly, loving the sick, loving the demon-possessed and removing demons from them, loving desperate, grieving families and reaching out and restoring their dead. The only crime Jesus has committed is love. If you find love as a crime, you're a strange human being. Everybody is crying out for love. Everybody everywhere is crying out for hope, for peace, for deliverance, for healing. And somebody walks onto the scene and does all these things, and then you reject him. What is a good reason for rejecting Jesus? I ask you, people of the Middle East, what is the crime Jesus has committed to your countries? People of Asia, what has Jesus done against Asia? Jesus never brought on earth a coronavirus. Jesus never started an abortion clinic. Jesus never started a gang to rob people. Jesus never, ever committed a corrupt deed. So why do you hate Jesus? America, Europe, why are you ruling Jesus out of your countries? What wrong has he done to you? Great Britain, Wales, Germany, Switzerland, France. What has Jesus done to you? Democrats, Republicans, Jubilee, KANU, Ramaphosa, Angela Merkel, whoever you are, President Uhuru Kenyatta, Museveni. What has Jesus done against you that you don't want anything to do with him? That you rule him or count him so small? The greatest person that ever lived, the greatest help that ever came on earth. Muslims, what has Jesus done to you, against you, Muslims? I'm asking you. What has Isa bin Maryam, what has he done to you or against you? Buddhists, Sikhs, Jains, Zoroastrians, what has Jesus done against you? Atheists, I'm asking you this Friday morning, what wrong has Jesus done against you? Again, I say the only thing that he's guilty of is unconditional love. Loving you the way you are, reaching out to help you, showing you where you'll spend eternity and warning you against hell, helping you to find eternal life. That is the crime of Jesus. Why do you reject Jesus? All kinds of opinions around the world about Jesus, and he himself asked his disciples. He says, what do men say that I am? Who do men say I am? And they give opinions. You know, some say you are Elijah. Some say you are Jeremiah. Some say you are a prophet. And then he says, okay, that is what people say. But what do you say that I am? Who do you say I am? Who do you say I am? As an individual, I'm asking you. As a graduate, I'm asking you. As a professor, I'm asking you. As a business person, I'm asking you. As a political leader, I'm asking you. As somebody watching me online, I'm asking you, who do you say Jesus is? You cannot be indifferent to that question. Somebody said either he is Lord, or he is legend, or he is a liar, or he is a lunatic. We know that he's not legend because he's a historical figure of proof. We know that, you know, some people say, but it's only the Gospels that record about Jesus. I have news for you. The Roman historian Cornelius Tacitus in his annals writes about Jesus. The Jewish scholar, historian called Josephus, Flavius Josephus, writes about Jesus. Gaius Tranquillus writes about Jesus. Pliny the Younger writes about Jesus. Marabar Serapion writes about Jesus. Only the Gospels, only if you're a fool. Jesus is everywhere. Even the Talmud writes about Jesus. The Quran writes about Jesus. You know what? You ignore Jesus at your own detriment. It's at your own risk. You ignore Jesus at your own risk. The Quran knows that Jesus is coming as judge. Yes, it says that. You know, people read, all of you that have been to school, one way or the other, have heard of something called the Bible. You have eyes to read. If you don't know about Jesus, it's your own fault. It's not because you can't read. The Gospels are there. Read Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Read. If you don't read, you will answer before God. I've told you. You will answer. You can't ignore Jesus. Watch, now the Bible is online. Most of you watching me online, you'll never have a reason to say you don't know about Jesus. Click on Matthew, read. Mark, Luke, John. Why am I so impassioned about this? It's because a lot of us have no good reason to reject Jesus. So he's not legend. He's not a liar. Everything he said came to pass. He predicted everything to the letter. It came to pass. In fact, the only thing that he predicted that has not come to pass is the eschatological realities of the end times. The end times. You say, okay, it won't come to pass. So if somebody has told you 99.9% and it has come to pass, what kind of fool would you be to doubt the only remaining 0.something% or 1%? Even statisticians don't make such mistakes. We don't decide anything else differently. So why would you use a different standard on Jesus? It's like people are more willing to believe there was a Napoleon Bonaparte, there was an Alexander the Great living in the 20th century. They're willing to believe that. Even though Alexander lived before Jesus, they are willing to believe Alexander and not Jesus. Because what did Jesus do? I am here as an advocate for Jesus. Amen. And I'm basically asking you the fundamental, simple questions you need to answer. What has Jesus done against you, against your family, against your trade, against your life? Only good is recorded of Jesus. And Pilate looks at Jesus, and he's looking at the Jews bringing Jesus to him. So what has he done? Verse 4 says, once more Pilate came out and said to the Jews, look, I am bringing him out to you to let you know that I find no basis for a charge against him. Or maybe you say he was a lunatic. A lunatic is someone who, out of hallucination or some kind of demented state, claims to be what they are not. Like somebody rising up today, like me stepping out into Eldoret town and saying I am Uhuru Kenyatta. I would be a lunatic because I'm not. Or I wake up and one morning I say, you know what? I'm the president of the world. That's a lunatic who makes statements that do not corroborate, cannot be corroborated any other way. They don't match. Yet, is there anything you could look at Jesus' character, speeches, teachings, actions, and say they don't match his life? Even when he said, when I rise again, I will go ahead of you into Jerusalem. As at that time, you could say, lunatic. I mean, it has not happened. You don't know the future. But you're asking somebody, you're claiming somebody doesn't know the future who holds the future. So the resurrection happened. Lunatic? No. Anything that Jesus said that does not hold together or looks demented? No. Maybe you could argue and say, he said, before Abraham was, I am. I am means I was there. The ever-present one. Was he there before Abraham? Yes, through him everything was made that has been made. So, and if you really want to get the gist of why the Jews are angry, it's because Jesus said he is God, the Son of God. So the issue is, it's one thing for somebody to say he is a son of God. The other is for him to prove that he is. If he proves, then why would you have a problem with him? Well, he rose from the dead. Who of you has ever risen from the dead? I've never died to check if it, But the point is that nobody, even those who we would call charlatans, like Melchior Ondeto. Ondeto said that when he dies, he will rise from the dead on the third day. Well, where did he get that from in the first place? Copying from Jesus. Making himself equal with a Jesus. Ondeto died in 1991. And I guess the third day has never come. So, all these charlatans, all these kinds of people, prophetic words that have no basis. Jesus, claimed to be able to rise from the dead, and he rose from the dead. He claimed that the disciples would get the money in the fish. They got the money in the fish. So, and by the way, what are the odds? The odds are that the fish could swim away, so you don't get the money. Or they go to the wrong fish. Or they find a different coin than the 4 drachma coin that he mentioned, where they found everything exactly the way he said. Jesus tells Peter, Peter, you're going to deny me 3 times. before it happens. I mean, who of you can tell a friend, tomorrow in the afternoon, I know you're going to steal from me. And it happens. If somebody tells you, I know tomorrow afternoon you're going to steal from me, you will work everything possible to prove them wrong. And so in the same way, Peter could have said, I'll be on my latest point, point of my life. I'll be so alert. You say, I'll be listening out to every cock that crows. I will never deny you. It will not happen. Well, that's what Peter said. I will never deny you. Did he deny Jesus? 3 times. Not once, not twice, 3 times. When Jesus said it will happen 3 times. Forget about your prophets who come today and say, something bad is going to happen to Kenya. What is something bad? Those general statements. They are not prophets. Say, Kigame is going to go to Eldoret and someone will have an AK-47 and will shoot him at 3:33 and 13 seconds. Then we'll know you are a prophet. Well, Peter denied Jesus 3 times. In fact, the one who really would have worked against it was Judas. The one dipping his hand in the bowl with me will betray me. Everybody didn't say, me? No way. He did. That is the Jesus you are rejecting. That is the Jesus you are rejecting. So Pilate turns to these guys. You say, you are charging Jesus with blasphemy. Why are you blasphemy? Because he says he's equal with, just ask him to prove. And he did prove that he was God. He received worship, by the way. And so on. They are charging him. He has said he's a king. A king. All you need to prove that you're a king is you take power. Did Jesus take power? He said, no, he didn't. He says, you're not a friend of Caesar if you let this guy go. Caesar is king, yes? Was Jesus taking over the Roman government? No. Was he going to Jerusalem to take over the seat from Pilate? No. In fact, he tells Pilate, even the ruling you have today, you would not rule if my father did not allow you to rule. Yes. Oh, yeah. My son is reminding me, the Jews tried to make him king by force because he had given them bread to eat and fish. This is a good man. He'll always give us bread. That's how people act. Then you become king and you realize giving bread is not what life really requires. Verse 5, when Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, by the way, they're doing all this to the one who made the materials to make clothes. They're doing all this to someone who gives them life. You know? Pilate said to them, here is the man. Okay? You really want... I've found nothing wrong with him. Here he is. If you really must do anything, let you be guilty, not me. Verse 6. As soon as the chief priests and their officials saw him, they shouted, crucify, crucify. Now, just indulge me as I bring this to a close. There was a time they wanted to arrest Jesus and he walked away. He just sneaked among them and walked away. Like that. And disappeared. There was a time, in the post-resurrection, if you look at how Jesus appears, he's able to pass through walls. Hello? Don't be spooked. He's able to pass through walls, appears in the room with them. So, in actual fact, okay, birds fly, people don't fly. Jesus ascends, violating gravity, taking on aeronautics or whatever it was, he ascends. So the glorified Jesus is actually someone you cannot even fight with or, struggle. You can't even crucify. But they're shouting, crucify, crucify. And it's because they don't know who they're dealing with. But Pilate answered, you take him and crucify him yourselves. As for me, I find no basis for a charge against him. Why do you reject Jesus? As we bring this to a close. If you were to stand before God and he asked you, so why did you reject my son, the one I sent to save you? Why do you reject the answer for the world? Do you know that if the world took the teaching of Jesus seriously, a lot of what we call problems would go? Well, I have news for you. Reject him now. But the time is coming. Every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus is Lord. In fact, Jesus is going to rule this world physically, in case you did not know. And listen to me and look at me carefully. I'm not saying this out of my mind. By God's grace, I have gone to school a little bit. So it's not like I'm trying to make you feel good or prognosticate. I'm actually telling you, Jesus is going to rule the world one of these days. You have ignored him now. You can't then. You better come to him, put your faith in him when you still have the time, when it's still possible, or you will bow. The song says, princes and paupers will bow before him. They will all bow down. Kings will surrender their crowns and worship Jesus. Imagine your president, imagine your parents, imagine every thug, imagine everyone coming and saying, Master, Bwana, Nkosi, Lord, you are God. It's coming. Better do it now. Heavenly Father, I pray that if there is anyone among us watching that has never put their faith in you, you will help them with their reasons against you and help them to put their faith in you. I pray for governments that have ruled out Jesus, that they would give him a chance to fix their constitutions, fix their laws, fix the way they relate to one another. I pray for families that are in turmoil, that they will welcome the Prince of Peace. I pray for those who are oppressed of the devil, that you will allow them to know the power of Jesus today by taking away the oppression of the devil. Lord, for those who are depressed, for those who are stressed out, for those who are down, for those who are mourning, for those who are in grief, I pray they will witness the comfort of Jesus Christ. And Lord, for those who are without hope, those who are living without knowing where they will spend eternity, may they come to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. We honor you, Lord, and we thank you. He is Lord. He is Lord. He is risen from the dead.